do you. We're not the boss of you.
No.
If you want to listen to this without having seen the movie, you just go ahead and do what you want.
You used to tell people to go away.
Quentin Tarantino does what he wants.
Yeah.
You should do what you want.
He can make a 3-hour movie if he wants to.
All right, list for me the scenes that you would cut out of this.
Okay. I would totally get rid of every scene that had Kurt Russell in it.
What?
Yeah.
That's some of the best stuff in the movie.
It's fun, but it's not instrumental. It doesn't push the story forward. The whole thing with Brad Pitt murdering his wife was so unnecessary.
What? No.
How is it necessary?
Because it gives that character texture. Like there's a different part of this character now that you know about that actually makes you like struggle with like the heroics. Like, wait, did he actually kill his wife? Did he not? Like, it doesn't really kind of give you the answer to that, and so you're left kind of struggling. And I don't know. I liked that stuff. Plus, I thought it was a great explanation of kind of, again, with the themes of things changing and those kind of things of, you know, the inner politics of Hollywood. I liked all that stuff. Okay. It was similar to me to the scenes where Leo would forget his lines. You know, it's just kind of
in front of people.
and yeah. And I loved that stuff, that there was just kind of that inside Hollywood stuff. I think was crucial. I guess here's what I'll say. You actually may be right that it's unnecessary, but I was glad it was there. I ate it all up.
Yeah.
So I liked it.
Maybe it feels to me like one of those things like, it's cool I saw it, but now going back, if I want to rewatch the movie, that's the stuff that's going to stop me from wanting, because I have to drudge through that to actually get to the important stuff in the story. Another great example.
It really was. I'm still stuck on it. That was the rooftop daydream, right? Like he was on the roof fixing the satellite.
Yeah.
And he remembered what Rick had said about him not being invited because it was such and such. And so he's thinking back as to why that happened.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's kind of, and then afterwards,
fighting Bruce Lee.
Right. And him fighting Bruce Lee, right? And the wife who hated him already because he might have killed his wife, and she's the one whose car got, like, all that stuff was great. But anyways, then he comes out of it and he's like, yeah, I suppose that's right, or whatever.
Yeah,
whatever
he's like, oh yeah.
But again, that's about how his, you know, why his career has gone the way it has, or why things have changed. I don't know. I found it all interesting and
this one's where I'm going to get the biggest amount of pushback.
Oh no,
Sharon Tate.
So great.
No, I agree with him. I honestly, like, you could have probably stripped out almost every scene that she was in.
That's what the movie is about.
No,
it's like the whole heart of the movie.
I don't know.
But we don't need to watch her going through her life. We don't need to watch her going to parties. We don't need to see...
100% disagree.
See, this is where I know it's going to get a lot of
disagree.
pushback. I know the movie's trying to build up this false sense of we're going to get to see the Manson family kill Tate and stuff. I had a feeling from...
It's a weird way to say that. Get to, like, ugh.
Okay, it sounds insensitive, but I'm trying to make a point.
No, I know. I wasn't trying to accuse you of anything. I was just like, you know, what's interesting is Tarantino gets accused of that, right? Like, Tarantino gets accused of glorification, reveling in the violence, that kind of stuff, which I think it's a deserved accusation many times. But anyways, continue.
But what I'm saying is I knew from the get-go that it was going to be an alternate history, kind of like Inglourious Basterds.
I assumed as much.
Yeah. So them building up all of this, you know, Sharon Tate going to parties and stuff with Steve McQueen and stuff. Again, that whole scene where Steve McQueen is like talking about how Roman Polanski, you know, got Sharon from John. I'm like, all this stuff is just so unnecessary. Seeing Tate go to the Wrecking Crew and like reveling and people laughing at her movie.
The best scene in the movie.
You've got to be kidding me.
No, I was so bored during that part.
No, yeah. The best scene in this entire movie is Leo talking to that little girl right before who's
that
reading
also
the book.
May be the best scene in the movie.
She is probably the best actor in this entire movie.
She's phenomenal.
Great. She was so good.
The way she incorporated the pretentiousness of acting, and at the same time, there was an authenticity to her that you respected a little bit as well.
She was absolutely great. I'd never seen her in anything, but I can't wait to see her in something else. She was.
Here's something fascinating before we get back to the amazing Sharon Tate scene that was the best scene in the movie, and you guys are crazy. Before we get back to that, here's another. Did you know that a lot of the Manson Ranch girls were famous people's daughters?
Yeah.
Like it was like I think Bruce Willis's daughter was in there, and there were several famous daughters that were in there. Again, as kind of a purposeful like nod to the Hollywood traditions, and he was definitely doing something very intentional with that stuff. So
here's what I didn't like about watching Sharon watch a movie.
Oh man, I love that so much.
That Inception, you gotta go a level deeper.
I totally get what he was trying to say. Like, she needs the affirmation of like hearing people laugh at her scene or like, praise. She's reveling in like how much people love her, and she needs that to feel validated in her career or in her life or whatever.
So I didn't pick up on that, but go ahead.
I mean, she was like gleeful, like in
scene. there was the joy of it, but it didn't seem like a need to me.
Here's how
I think that was what Tarantino was trying to do with all of the characters. Like it was all about Leo's need for affirmation and like that I can be a great actor too, and I'm not, my career is not dying. Same thing with Brad Pitt's character of like I'm still needed, I'm still wanted, and Leo saying no, we don't need you for the shot or whatever. And then I felt like he wanted to do that with Sharon Tate too, but it wasn't strong enough for me, and I couldn't wait to get back to the guys. Like I wanted there wasn't enough meat on the bone, I think, when I saw Sharon Tate.
Man.
So I'm not trying to take away anything from Margot Robbie's performance because she's great, but I think that Tarantino spent too much time trying to build up this false story of making you care about Tate, and everything I'm saying is solely about the movie. I'm not trying to talk about the actual events that took place in '69.
Sure, no, totally.
Yeah, so he's trying to build this sense of you need to connect to this person because of what's going to happen at the end of the movie. What's going to happen at the end of the movie if you know anything about the Manson family. So that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to build this false sense of you have to care about Sharon Tate because we get to unfortunately see what happens to her, but it's all just it's all under. It's not really going to happen, but we know it's not really going to happen, and the fact that he spends so much time building up a character that at the end of this movie is so unnecessary. I think that they could have had scenes where he just DiCaprio's character kept seeing Tate and Polanski drive up to their house, and he's like, I'm going to talk to them one day. And then at the end, you could have that scene where he walks down and then Tate invites him up and stuff like that. You could have had that. You didn't need to spend 35 minutes showing me Sharon Tate and Polanski going to a party with Steve McQueen at the Playboy Mansion, or Sharon Tate going to see The Wrecking Crew, or Sharon Tate dancing, or all this other stuff that doesn't lead anywhere. Another thing is, it sounds like I'm ripping on the movie that I actually think is pretty good.
Are you done with Sharon Tate?
Yeah.
Okay, because I wanted to let you guys say your piece. Like I didn't want to interrupt and jump in.
Yeah, so go ahead.
No. It's really strange to me how much I disagree, because I think this movie has zero impact without us giving the time to who she is in that, because she represents the young, the new. She represents the ingenue. She represents this part of Hollywood that what's fascinating about what he's doing here. Part of what he's doing here is he's changing history, like he's done with Inglourious Bastards, like he's done.
It's kind of a wish fulfillment of alternate history.
Yes. And I did not see as what he was doing was trying to make us care about, oh no, she's going to get murdered. What I saw him doing was taking somebody who all you know about her life is that she was 8 months pregnant and got brutally murdered by the Manson family. And so he's taking this like, that's all I knew, is the name Sharon Tate. You know what that means to me? A bloody, gruesome murder. Yeah. And what he's doing is he's building an actual human being so that I can look at it and go, oh, now I'm invested in the beauty of this life as opposed to the gruesomeness of this death. So for me, it was this commentary again on change in Hollywood, and the change for her was her life got cut short, but now he is taking the steps to say, I've got this time machine, I'm going to make it right. And I kind of alluded to this in the show proper as well. Or am I? Because there's this moment at the end after Rick goes up to hang out with them, which is this huge moment for him. He's been hoping for this because Polanski is this hotshot new director that's doing this stuff. By the way, movie never really deals with like the dark Polanski stuff.
Well, that all happened like 10 years afterwards.
Sure, fair enough.
Which, Polanski, not a good guy. He's not allowed back in the U.S.
So there's the way that last scene is shot from overhead in the shadows. And there's this lingering, first of all, knowledge that, that wasn't the only...
That's not what happened.
Well, not only that, but that's not what happened. But not only that, but there are more murders to come.
Yeah.
Manson's still out there. So it's kind of this also admission of, I have a time machine, I can change this, but there's still all this other stuff to happen. So that's a secondary point to the point that the reason that Sharon stuff meant so much to me.
Okay.
So, anyways, we can firmly disagree and say our pieces and move on to other interesting things apart the movie.
Well, like I said, that's the biggest thing that's holding me back because I think that the main story here, if they focused on Leo and Brad, and you don't need to show me what the young, vibrant, new face in Hollywood and what their life is like. I've seen that 1,000 times. I think that the old and the old guard, I think that's a much more fascinating story. Like, I will give him credit because he had that one scene at the beginning of the movie with Sharon Tate and Polanski walking through the airport, and the paparazzi are walking back with him, and then later after he gets done with all the spaghetti westerns, him and his new wife are doing the exact same walk except they're walking alone.
Right.
It's just like, you may still be making movies, but you're still the old guard. You're not pulling in any audience or anything like that. So I think that if you would have had just a couple shots like that, don't show me Sharon Tate, going to the parties and stuff. You can show her, but don't make her like a side quest.
I will sacrifice the party scene, but you cannot take the movie scene away from me. like if we're making a deal here, I'll give you the Playboy Mansion scene, but I have to hold on to the movie scene.
I don't know that I even really disagree with anything that you said about the meaningfulness of it. I think for me it's just, I agree with Andrew. The movie was very long, and I just wanted to see a little bit more streamlined, which I know a lot of the reviews are talking about. I haven't read those reviews, by the way, but like I just felt I walked out of there thinking like how much stronger and more focused of a movie would have been if it was just about the boys. And I would love to see Sharon Tate in her own movie, like give her own story.
Yeah.
And then
I hear what you're saying, and also disagree.
Yeah.
So that's fine.
Yeah. Also, that Playboy Mansion scene had the only time that they had, titles to show you who each character is.
Yeah, like, it was the one time.
The one time. Why I couldn't deduce that was.
Yeah, I mean it was interesting because they let you figure out Mama Cass, but not the other Mama and Papa girl that was in that 3.
Yeah.
Steve McQueen. They wanted to make sure you knew who that was. I don't know, it was interesting that they used him then. I don't know that I would have figured it out without those titles.
Yeah. Would you have figured out that was Bruce Lee?
Not sure.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting.
And I don't know that
even with them calling him Kato and stuff.
No, I'm not a Bruce Lee. I'm not up on all my Bruce Lee stuff. So.
Okay.
So yeah,
you gotta be like water.
I loved that scene though. I thought that scene was so great.
It was fun.
It was really good.
Okay, that's just an issue. There are scenes like that are fun, but they're surrounded by so much fodder to get through that it's like, man,
I don't know what to say. I completely it's all information I find valuable, and not just valuable, but interesting and exciting and compelling.
I can feel the passion that Tarantino is putting into it, but it's passion like, I love this part of the 60s.
Yeah.
I love Bruce Lee. I want to put Bruce Lee in my movie. I love this part of the classic Hollywood Boulevard. I want to put that in the backdrop, But a lot of that stuff is just leading to nonsensical, just a love story of Hollywood of the 1960s,
Yeah. Let's try to hit a few more things. I know I've got kind of a hard out. I don't want to rush us, but I do have to get going. But I loved the dog stuff. I loved that we get a very subtle education on his relationship with his dog that I just thought was, again, texture and humor. Here's an underrated part about a looser movie. Underrated part about a looser movie is it allows you to hide storytelling tricks a little bit better. When you really tighten a movie up, the storytelling tricks become more and more obvious, because if it's included, it must be for a storytelling reason.
Yeah.
Whereas in this movie, stuff is included that isn't necessarily for a completely, technical storytelling reason. It's for a character reason or for emotional reason, right? So it allows you to kind of have those moments with the dog where you're like, oh, this is a fun little, side thing where how he signals to his dog, but it's actually doing something for you. And later when he uses it, to kill people, it's like
at the end
perfect.
At the end of the movie when he does.
Yeah,
I was just like, this is on. Like, I can't wait.
The adrenaline in that moment was just incredible.
The entire row that I was sitting with in the theater were cheering. Like, they were just screaming.
It's perfect. Yeah. And I don't think you get that without that setup scene being a little more subtle and a little more hidden in this movie. So
Poor Dakota Fanning in her face.
Dude, she was like
man, the
unrecognizable.
cast in this movie, people just stepping in for Scoot McNairy was in this for like 2 lines.
Yeah.
Like, I just...
Did you recognize the girl from Stranger Things?
Yes.
Wait, Millie Bobby
Skips
Brown
Ahoy.
was in this?
No. The Skips Ahoy girl.
Was she on the Manson
She was
Ranchers?
Flower Child. She's the one that took off in the car.
Yeah, she's one of the 4 that go up, but then she leaves.
Yeah.
And by the way, those were, again, he tried to be as accurate as possible with the actual historical part. Those were the ones that went there, and she actually, the story is told, was told to go look for open windows in the Tate home, and even though there were some, she told them there weren't, because she, of the 4 of them, was like didn't want to do it. So it actually kind of makes sense that she was the one that drove off in the car. So stuff like that's really interesting to me and fascinating when you really think about it. But
I want to ask you a question.
Yeah.
I love the Manson stuff. I love the rewriting history stuff. He's so good at that. I love how
that Spawn Ranch scene.
So good. And like I love how because Rick comes in and like interrupts the car and is like, get the F out of my neighborhood. Blah, blah, blah. He like ends up that becomes the butterfly effect situation, right?
Yeah.
As awesome as all that was, how does it fit in for you into the greater, like, why is that included in a movie that otherwise has nothing to do with people being crazy and wanting to murder others? Like, how does that
fulfillment?
Okay, and I get that, but the whole movie wasn't about wish fulfillment for me. It wasn't about wish fulfillment until the last hour.
But I think it was for Quentin.
Yeah. Okay.
I think that's what I'm saying. That's why, and again, I think that comes back to some of the the Tate stuff that's important to me. Is I think it was important to him. You can tell that's what he's trying to do.
Yeah.
Is the wish fulfillment, is the time travel, is to change things. And so, where we're seeing this beautiful story about these 2 guys dealing with change, Quentin is also dealing with the larger historical story at the same time.
The emotional impact of what happened from the Manson and his weird cathartic way of brutally murdering those people by having Brad Pitt smash their faces in and then have Leo walk out of a pool house with a flamethrower, which that got the biggest laugh in my theater.
Yeah.
As soon as you saw Leo walk out with the flamethrower, like, this is the most ridiculous. But then afterwards he's talking to is it John or I forget his name, but through the gate, he's like, my buddy and his dog killed 2 of them, and I burned another one with a flamethrower. Oh, the one from the 14 guns. Wait, you saw that? It's so nonchalant that it's like...
Burn her to a crisp.
Oh, man.
But the nonchalance is interesting because... I guess with the amount of violence that happened, there's still that separation. But, you think of how different actual history happened, and it's like there is no nonchalance there. That is deep and gruesome and serious. And so, what Quentin is able to do is allow that humor and nonchalance to happen because he's willing to change history to do it. So.
Okay, so your answer to how it speaks to, like, and I may not have asked the question very well, but like how it speaks to the overall themes of the movie is that like he in a meta kind of way wants to change history just like these guys want to change their own history.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
Also, I think, to answer your question, I think that last 20 minutes is Quentin Tarantino saying to the audience, I'm still here, guys. I still know how to make the ridiculousness.
No, that's true.
I think that is a part of it. It's not the whole part, I think that what you said is a big encompassing element, but I also think that he wants to let the audience know, don't worry, I'm still here. It's not a Coen Brothers movie. It's a Tarantino movie.
I gotta go. But I think we hit pretty much everything we want to hit.
Yeah, really.
So thank you. I appreciate you hanging out for the spoilers, downloading the spoilers, maybe watching it on YouTube. I don't know. Thank you for doing that.
And away you go.
And away we go. Thanks, guys.
Bye.